The idea of intelligence. Very helpful to be intelligent.
It's wise advice, but from someone who spent the majority of their career on a show called Jackass?
When we approach life with passion, with enthusiasm, we are doing God's work.
This, from a self-proclaimed professional idiot? Help me understand.
It's very simple. I'm an attention whore.
Okay. Well, that makes sense. But I promise you, today on The Pulse, comedian Steve-O, he will surprise you.
I gotta tell you, and I mean this the nicest way possible, you're not at all what I expected.
Oh, well, thank you.
This is somebody who I've watched for years, and I gotta tell you, my immediate question when I watched him was why? Initially was why. So let's find out. Tremendously successful comedian, touring, has several shows, influencer, best-selling author. Steve-O joins us. How are you, sir?
I'm great, man, and thank you for that. Those kind words. I enjoyed that.
We kind of grew up watching the stuff together, so I imagine we're similar ages, and kind of watching the things that you were doing. Like that was the initial question. Was like, oh, okay. So take us back. How do you even get into something like that?
I mean, it's very simple. I can answer your question. Why? At every stage of the process, it's very simple. I'm an attention whore.
Okay.
All right. And that's really what it boils down to. I always had this strong urge to be remembered. When I was a kid, and I got a hold of a video camera, and I was struggling in school. I was dropping out of college. I really thought that I was going to fail at life and die just tragically young. And I believed strongly that the video footage I was filming of the ridiculous, crazy stunts and antics, that it would outlive me. I took this very religious approach to the video camera. I was stuffing my message in the bottle, and I was gonna be known for the things that I was doing beyond my years. I think that's
where it started.
That me caring about that so much is how and why I got discovered without having to die.
Is it a true story that even before all this, you kind of were interested in being a stuntman? I read that somewhere.
Sure.
So you were kind of training to do that. So all of this craziness was not completely new to you.
I wanted to be a creative advertising executive and make TV commercials. So I went to college at the University of Miami for that. And I just couldn't bring myself to make it to class. That was the real hang up there. And I got kicked out of the dorms. I was failing my class. I upped and dropped out. And as I was on the way out of the University of Miami, my story was that I was going to use a home video camera to become a crazy, famous stuntman. And everybody I told that to felt legitimately sorry for me. The year was 1993. And I just kind of stuck with it. That was the whole, like I'm going to be remembered forever. That's what I wanted, And I was homeless for 3 years after leaving the University of Miami. I was couch surfing until 1996. And then I moved in with my sister, who is a journalist at the Albuquerque Journal in Albuquerque, New Mexico. And one day she was at work on the John reading a book of trivia, and she found a question that read, "What is the only college that has no tuition?" And the answer was Ringling Brothers and Barnum and Bailey Clown College.
Stop it.
And she thought that might be good for me. It might get me out of her house. And I applied to Clown College, thinking that it would further my goal of becoming a crazy famous stuntman. If I was a trained circus professional, people would take me more seriously.
Yeah, of course.
And yes, I went off to clown college and had a career as a circus clown right up until the day that I filmed my first scene for the Jackass series.
We were talking before we got started that your public life, at least, like the things that we've seen on Jackass and the several different shows or the offshoots, was almost like the real life game of would you, like that all of us have played. Like, would you take a Tyson body shot for $1 million? Like, would you let somebody staple your arm, for significant amounts of money? And you answered yes a lot.
Yeah, I suppose. I broke my nose on Mike Tyson's fist one time. I talked him into holding his fist out. I said, Mike, it's great. It's called the black eye game. And you just hold your fist still with your elbow locked, and I run into it with my face and try to get a black eye. And I ended up with 2 black eyes and a broken nose.
So in the game, would you come up with all of those things, and it leads to you do it, and there's fame and fortune, and you're remembered and all of those things. So how successful really was Jackass and the offshoots, and how quickly did this kind of, we're just going to recreate what entertainment looks like, how quickly did that translate to actual success? How many broken noses did you have to take before it was worth it?
I was 15 years old when I made my first video. I was 19 years old when I dropped out of college. And I was 26 years old when Jackass first appeared on MTV. And it was really pretty overnight. Once Jackass appeared on MTV, I had a legitimate profile. I was recognized everywhere I went. However, when Jackass appeared on MTV, I was dead broke. I was again homeless, and I was totally unemployed. There was really not a lot of money in the TV show, but I figured it out as I went, and once we started making the movies, there was more substantial money involved in it, but the movies were few and far between. The first movie came out in 2002, and then there was no Jackass for 4 years until the second movie came out in 2006. And then there was no Jackass for another 4 years when the third movie came out in 2010. And then there was no Jackass for 10 years when the fourth movie came out in 2022, 12 years.
So what I just took from that was you took a lot of black eyes and porta potties turned over on you and staples and all that kind of stuff, and didn't get the immediate huge paycheck. You had to persevere and keep going. You had to believe that this was going to lead to your goals, because you took a lot of pain without the immediate big check.
I'll tell you straight up that my career in stand-up comedy has been way more lucrative for me than my career with Jackass.
Us that go to the bathroom, they're less intelligent than I thought.
You talked about the most recent movie, kind of debuted as #1. That one was good again.
They all did.
Yeah.
Every Jackass movie was #1.
Why do you think all of this has resonated so much with people?
I think that a big piece of it is our ability to not take ourselves too seriously. I think that there's something endearing about guys that are willing to look bad, look uncool, fall down. There's something wholesome about it that we only target ourselves and each other. There's really nothing hateful about anything that we do. The spirit of what we do is like a really positive spirit. Like there's this camaraderie, there's this love for each other. I think that I like to carry that over into everything that I do. And I think there's something authentic about everything that I do.
When you go back and think about it, you're right. With all of the, I mean, of course you're right, you did it. But with all of the kind of craziness and the shows, there never really was anything malicious or mean-spirited, or people thought it was crazy, but it was fun.
I mean, that's what Jackass is a bunch of attention whores battling for screen time. And as reckless, as painful, as dangerous as a lot of the things we do are, we are all such we're more than willing participants. It's permissible to enjoy watching what we do because we want it all to happen so badly. You know, we're so game for it. We're so we love it so much ourselves.
You've been very public in your books and in your life about that. At some point, was it the success that was too much? Was it the partying that came with all of this that was too much? Because then you had your own battles with addiction.
I mean, I come from such a long line of alcoholics and addicts that I really believe that for me, alcoholism was it was like playing Russian roulette with a completely loaded gun. There was no chance that it was gonna skip me. It was gonna happen, and it had nothing to do with the success of Jackass. Like I could have been a 9-to-5 guy, an accountant. There was an addiction to attention, I think, that played into it as well. I think that I can make a drug out of anything is the reality, whether it's, drugs, alcohol, sex, food. Like I get in trouble with anything that makes me feel good, period.
So with that being the case, 14 years now, you've been sober.
Yeah.
Knowing that's your personality, and still kind of living I'm going to live and do crazy stuff and travel and, the environment hasn't changed. How have you changed?
I was surrounded by people drinking alcohol everywhere I went for 11 years on the comedy club circuit. And it's really simple for the sober alcoholic. You ask yourself, do you have a legitimate reason for being there? And of course I did. You just want to make sure that you have a legitimate reason for being where you are and doing what you're doing, because everything that you do either protects your recovery or it jeopardizes your recovery. There's very few things do you think we can take.
I think it takes about 100 to kill a man.
The new book, and I mean, this isn't morning TV, so I guess I can say A Hard Kick in the Nuts, What I've Learned from a Lifetime of Terrible Decisions. That's a title.
Yeah, it's kind of a long title. It reflects the wisdom gleaned from the 10 years since the first book came out. It's really wild, man. I admit some crazy stuff in that book. When I recorded the audio book for this one, I was months removed from having delivered the original manuscript. And I was reading it out loud thinking, why am I putting this out there? I remember, as I did with my first book, I sent it to Johnny Knoxville, the original manuscript. And it's always been important to me to get the captain's blessing with things that I do on my own. I sent the book to Knoxville, and I was genuinely scared that he would be offended at how revealing it was, talking about the times that where we really butted heads. Yeah, I thought he was going to say, "How dare you?" And he did not say that. He said that I never thought, "How dare you?" There were many times I thought, "Ooh, this doesn't sound good. Why is he saying this?" But he said, to your credit, every time I thought that, the next line of the book acknowledged how bad it sounded. And he said there was a self-awareness to it all that he admired, that there was just so much evidence of growth and the work that I've done on myself. And it made me really happy when I hung up that phone call. For the rest of the day, it felt like I was floating around.
The bucket list tour kicking off in Philly, but going to several different places. Tell us what we're going to experience on the bucket list tour.
It's a bunch of ideas that I had in most cases for years, in some cases decades. Just absurd ideas that were just crazy to even say out loud. And they were never supposed to happen. None of it was ever actually supposed to happen. And I reached a point where I just thought, you know what? What if I actually went through with them? I tell the stories of the most ridiculous ideas that I ever came up with. And after each bit in the show, I screen the footage of the idea actually coming to fruition.
Couple more things as we start to wrap up. I got to tell you, and I mean this the nicest way possible, you're not at all what I expected.
Oh, well, thank you.
And but I guess I expected the guy who's, stapling their groin to their leg.
My dad said, the world is full of people who try really hard to appear smart and fall on the... And he said, my son, I think is actually a fairly high IQ individual who does a great job of looking stupid.
With all the crazy, all the stunts, all the outreach, all the touring, you also are somebody who takes your philanthropy and making the world a better place pretty serious. Tell us a little bit about the philanthropy and why kind of getting involved in, everything from animal rights to other things you're involved in was important to you.
I love animals, man. I love animals a lot. I certainly don't have any interest in having children. That's another item on the bucket list, was the vasectomy Olympics. I found a girl. I'm engaged to be married. My fiance and I have a vision for our future of employing hundreds of people to take care of thousands of animals. And we are dedicated to becoming as successful as we can so that we can buy a big property and open up our own animal sanctuary and make our vision real. Being the kid who just wanted to be remembered and would be so satisfied if people were watching videos of me after I died. I think nowadays I'm far less concerned about just the attention, the being remembered. And I think I'm a little bit more ambitious in that I'd like to have a legacy that actually improves the lives of others.
We end with the segment called Use Your Voice for Good. Your chance to give people advice, something that matters to you. You just kind of touched on it, but what does that mean to you?
The idea of intelligence. Very helpful to be intelligent. Talent is very useful, but intelligence and talent are minor compared to enthusiasm. Enthusiasm is the engine that drives success in life. And when we take the word enthusiasm and break it down to its Greek or Latin roots, what we have is entheos, which means with God. So when we approach life with passion, with enthusiasm, we are doing God's work. And that's what I'm about.
So thank you so much once again for watching The Pulse. That was not what I expected at all in meeting Steve-O. With all of the craziness that I've seen, there actually is a method to the madness. He's a thoughtful individual who is doing things with the crazy. As I often say, I enjoyed it. I hope you did as well. And there's more. If you want more, you can go and download the podcast, all places where podcasts are available. Subscribe so you get the notification. And make sure you join us next time on The Pulse as comedian, television host, and most important, friend of the show, Kevin Eubanks, stops by to catch up. Again, thanks so much for watching, and I leave you as I always do by saying, whenever you can, use your voice for good and have a good one.